And we finally get to say hello to the SEC this week, and the Pac-12 has rejoined the fray. So here's the Cliff Notes version of what's been happening in the Pac-12. You go back July 10th, and plans were approved for a conference-only schedule this season. Then, just 3 weeks later, the optimism, it increased as the Pac-12 released its 2020 football schedule. But mid-August, COVID brought those hopes to a halt. Commissioner Larry Scott announced the cancellation of all sports through the calendar year. Things remained quiet out west until early this month when they trumpeted an agreement that saw the Pac-12 become the first conference to secure rapid result testing. Then Thursday, 6 weeks after they originally postponed the season, the conference university presidents and chancellors voted to start playing games November 6th and 7th, approving a 7-game season that concludes with December's conference championship game.
I love where our team is right now as far as the preparation they put in since July till now. And now we've got 6 weeks to have the opportunity to compete and to play this game we love. So a very happy football team yesterday, and it's really nice to get back to coaching.
I guess that leads us from all those range of emotions to just now excitement, want to get after it, you name it. You know, it's on, but the intensity is cranked up. You could feel it in the Zoom team meeting when play was announced. So the Ducks are getting ready to get after it.
Pac-12 Commissioner Larry Scott, he's going to join us in a moment. But first up, Brady, we're going to start with you. Do you see the Pac-12 being a factor come playoff time, despite just 7 games? Hopefully 7 games.
No, and I think they'll get through 7 games. Can we celebrate for a second? The Power 5 is back, man. We got all the teams back together. We're playing college football. I can't wait. Will 7 games be enough? I think it's hard to determine now, but only because there's so many unknowns. But I do think with their daily testing protocols, it's going to help them be able to get through those 7 games. And I think there's a chance that they very well could go undefeated. Remember, This has been a conference that played 9 conference games, and I think a lot of teams in the Power 5 that have played 9 conference games have been plagued by beating each other up. They don't have to worry about that, unlike the SEC, unlike the Big Ten and some of the other Power 5 conferences that are trying to play more games. So maybe this actually works out in this, their advantage. But I mean, Reggie, the problem is the perception of the Pac-12 right now. They only had 3 teams in the preseason top 25 in the AP polls. That's obviously working against them.
Yeah, you talk about that perception, the Pac-12 versus the SEC. The Pac-12 is already viewed as one of the weakest conferences. And then you look at how many games they're going to be playing, right? You just said 7 games. If they can get through all those 7 games, I think right now Colorado is dealing with a suspension because of COVID outbreaks. We had a Baylor-Houston game that was supposed to happen here last week, and that didn't happen. And so you look at the 7 games, and you hope that they can get through all those 7 games just so that they can have a chance to compete and to play in the playoffs. But if you're asking me if they're going to be a factor, I think it's going to be very tough for them because, again, they're already viewed as weaker. SEC is tougher. We've seen their schedule. It's a gauntlet. They got a lot of top teams playing against each other, and I think that's going to maybe drown out the Pac-12 conference.
And now when you look at the Pac-12, who are the teams that maybe make a run? If you look at the North, we just saw Mario Cristobal there. Oregon, still a really good team back. They lost a lot of guys, especially the opt-outs. I like them, and he's recruited extremely well the last couple of years. But in the South, for me, it comes down to 2 teams. It's USC, and we talked about all offseason, a team that had a quarterback back and a system in place will have an advantage, especially early on. They have that. They have an All-American candidate in Keaton Slovis, Amon-Ra St. Brown, really talented wide receiving core. Todd Orlando takes over a defense that returns almost everybody. I like USC. And then the other team to keep an eye on, guys, is Arizona State. Herm Edwards is doing a good job over there. They returned Jaden Daniels, a talented young quarterback, 8 starters back on the defense that beat 3 top 20 teams last year. So that South race is going to be interesting. But, Reggie, to your point, one of these teams has to emerge. They have to change that perception of this conference.
I think there's a chance, and here's why. The recent history, non-conference games have knocked out the Pac-12 early in the season. They'll play a non-conference game, have a bad loss, and they're done. Perception is reality. They're done. The Pac-12 is done. This year, there is no Alabama, USC. There is no Oregon, Ohio State. So SEC beats each other up. Everything, the season starts going, and you might see a USC. Well, I think USC is going to have a heck of a team. And Oregon, at the end of the year, you're 7-0. You have to be in that conversation. No preseason, non-conference, big losses. Remember last year, Oregon had a shot. They had a shot, but what happened? They lost to Auburn early in the season, and they were knocked out.
I can't emphasize enough, too, though, daily testing, how that could play a different factor in all this. There's already been 22 games canceled or postponed. So that is one thing that may be working towards the Pac-12's advantage. And I think the last thing is just they're starting later than everyone else. I don't know if that plays as an advantage or a disadvantage. It's 2020. We're dealing with COVID. I think we're all going to find out at some point.
I was just going to say, this is a week-to-week. It's a day-to-day thing. They're back in the mix, as you said. We should celebrate that.
Yeah.
And they could have a seat at the table when it's all said and done.
The three of us live out here, and the West has gone at a slower pace in dealing with COVID. And the universities and the coaching staffs know they are behind in implementing offenses and defenses, getting guys in the weight room, getting their endurance up. They've got a lot of work to do in the next couple of weeks.
Big Noon Kickoff, Saturdays at 11 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here, College Football on Fox.